When I'm a participant in a session, I dread the ground rules bit. I know it's important, but at the same time, I'm like, why are we having these kind of meaningless just conversations about some sense of rules, which I know people are going to ignore anyway. Maybe I'm just feeling really cynical because it's Friday and I've not eaten for a bit. What about you, Svein?
I think that there are some times that ground rules are more important than others. And as I was thinking about this now, we tend to not put a lot of attention to it. But what we have come across or seen in operation in some meetings that we have just participated in is I do art. Do you know I do art? So it's talking about clarifying intention, desired outcome, agenda, roles, rules, and time. So you go through this to clarify for the session that this is what we are going to do, and these are also the rules, the guidelines that we need to come to the conclusion of the meeting or the session or the workshop. And I found that very interesting, and I think that for some of our sessions that will be very helpful. This is also clearly about methods. It would probably go into design sometimes as well, but I don't think that we always need to pick up the ground rules.
I think you're right. There's often kind of unspoken ground rules and ways that work in organizations. It wouldn't surprise you, Svein, that I tend to take a more kind of liberal, airy-fairy approach to ground rules. I like to invoke the spirit of my grandmother. Not in a kind of a weird way, but I like to say with the group, now look, rather than ground rules, just imagine, don't do anything that my grandmother would disapprove of. Now, I then have to explain a little bit that my grandmother was actually quite a moral person, but she was impish and she would always take care of the people in the room. But it pleases me because it takes people out of that headspace of doing what the boss says and replace it with a kind of a different sort of energy. And I guess I just enjoy the playfulness of it. And I enjoy thinking about my grandmother, who I love an awful lot.
I like that. You can play with these things. If you don't do like an I do art, or you have these basic ground rules, you could come up with stuff like, so for this meeting, it's important to remember to behave like maybe my dog Molly. Pay attention when there's something, when there's a treat for you, pay attention. So you could play with some stuff to kind of make the group go in the direction you want to create that setting that you would like. So there's a bit of thinking when you design this stuff and think about the goal as well. What do I need for this session?
Think about the social context. If this is with your senior managers, it's going to be different to your frontline staff. Although sometimes I do love telling my senior managers to behave like my grandmother would.
It'll be interesting. Let's try to look into what do we actually do? What do we use? Would there be kind of ground rules that are not that are unspoken, that are not uttered, and do we use them? Let's try to look for that and see what we find.